So this is the demo platform that we have, but it's basically perfectly in line with what we offer our customers. And so the idea is that we do asset management. And so you can manage your different assets. You can see we're very active in Europe on the demo. And the idea is that we offer products throughout the entire life cycle. So if we focus on the first product that I talked about, which is the thermography, I can click on a site and I can see all of the different inspections I've performed. You can see some information about users. There's advanced user management. You can overlay a lot of different things. But let's just get quickly to the main value here, is that we've got this map view. And I think most of our audience will know what orthomosaics are and these things. So I won't cover that too much. But the main thing is that we offer a visual orthomosaic. And we offer, sorry, I have a challenge. Here we go. We offer a visual orthomosaic, and we offer also the ability to overlay your panel layout. So you can overlay anything from a DXF to a PDF to give some more context and to really understand what you're looking at. So what we can see here, for example, is there are some visual damages. So customers can basically create annotations around that quite quickly. And they can also create what we call punch list items or tickets that then can be addressed by technicians directly in the field. So you can see ticket goes from in progress to resolved. So you can already work with visual data, but of course, we're not here to just do visual data and maintenance based on visual data. We also have this thermal data, which is in the end very similar to the RGB orthomosaic, an orthomosaic based on all the thermal photos that we've taken. By the way, at any point in time, you can visualize these individual photos. That's not a problem. But of course, our service is not just visualizing the thermography, because otherwise all of our customers would need to be thermal experts, or for example, the drone service providers, which are reselling our service. And not everyone is a level 1 certified thermographer. And that's why we are also automatically detecting the anomalies. So we can basically highlight all of the different anomalies, and they get a different color depending on what type of problem they represent. And at that point, you can get a very nice overview of, okay, I have a string here, we've got some issues there, green ones, yellow ones. And at any point in time, you can click on a broken panel and you can get information on what type of panel problem it is, what is under the underlying issue. So in this case, it's a physical internal issue. Sorry, but you can go and see in the visual space, okay, we don't see anything, but sometimes we see shadowing or bird spots or things like that, shattered glass. So we can also find what is causing the issue. We can give an idea of estimation. We can give you all the detailed temperature information. We can give you the weather information, because of course the weather conditions under which we did the inspection have a huge amount of effect on what you will find in the thermography. So we also normalize this information to give you a very objective measurement. Which brings it down to lab conditions. So it's the equivalent of sending that panel to the lab, except of course sending 100,000 panels to a lab will cost a lot, whereas flying 100,000 panels with a drone can be done in a day. And then of course you've got the full history of that problem. So I talked about the digital aspect of being able to track solutions over time or issues over time. So you can see this last year there was only one of these hotspots. This year we've got 2. And the idea is then that customers can also go into a statistics mode where they get a bit more info on what type of losses they're looking at, historical analysis, how many problems have been recurring, the distribution. So what type of problems are we finding on which inverter, which string, things like that. Shadowing, 17% of the issues were caused by shadowing. Customer can click on that and then they can say filter. I want to be able to see all of the anomalies caused by shadowing. Here we go. It filters on these, and then I can go back, for example, to my map, and I can go and visualize, okay, it's strange because there is this line of issues that seem to all have shadowing. What's happening here? And when I look at these, I see that it's always these lines. So then I can say, okay, I remove the thermal, and then I can start seeing there is this shadows, and the shadows are actually originating from this power line. So most likely this power line is creating all these shadows, and then customers can even, with the Field Link app, I didn't talk about it, but you can take photos from on-site taken from just smartphones. So you can integrate all of that into a nice platform. So quite quickly, you can really see how powerful the platform can be in terms of finding problems, ticketing them, prioritizing. You can export, share. There's a million ways you can do reporting. And that's really it on let's say on the thermography side in a nutshell.
If I could ask a few questions, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
How frequently, currently, with drone technology, so the plants that you're currently inspecting, how frequently are you flying the entire plant?
So once a year is really what 90% of the customers tend to go for. And the reason for that is that's what the IEC recommends, so the official standard. But on top of that, also Anomalies don't change that fast. And most of our customers do have a monitoring system, which is going to send them an alarm if a big part of the site breaks down, basically. The monitoring systems are really good at ensuring availability, making sure that all the hardware is available. We are there to do performance, but you're not going to send a technician 5 times a year to your site anyway. So if you're doing a thermography every year and you're sending a technician after the thermography and he knows exactly what to go and look for, we think that's a very efficient way of working. There are some cases, for example, in the Middle East where we do, let's say 3-4 flights a year, or some specific sites where we do also multiple flights a year. And that's also often larger plants. And also on small CNI, sometimes we even only fly once every 2 years. So it really depends on the need, frequency, the budget. But that's the recommendation.
Okay.
Any other question? You said you had multiple. Yes.
Going through this demo, I mean, you obviously know these demo configurations or these demo sites, and so you went through it quickly and fluidly, and basically, my question is, for someone to become a Sitemark user or customer, do you provide training on how to navigate all of these things and to become an expert in tuning and reporting and understanding those reports? Or is that like, how does training on the Sitemark software work? That's the overall question.
So if you ask our product team, they will tell you Sitemark is like an iPhone. You don't need a manual. You just give it into the customer's hands and they'll be able to play with it. They'll get joy out of it from day one. In practice, it's not always the case. And so we also have, of course, our training. So we have 4 different trainings. We have one on piloting, so how to pilot a drone, how to capture data efficiently for thermography. We have one on the platform. We have some on efficiently working with the field app, so for field technicians. So there's a lot of different stakeholders that collaborate in such a solution. And so we've got trainings for all of them because we believe long-term value is created when people fully appreciate and understand how to use and fully benefit from the solution, because there's a lot of different things you can do with this. But we do have the trainings, and they're all online, so you can basically follow them online. Next question, if there is a next question. Okay.
Nope, that's it. That was my question.
So then I will talk to you about the construction. So we've got also our solar construction solution where we do the topography and let's say the construction. So here we can see how such a project looks like. So if I remove Google Earth, you can see that the system can make a nice orthomosaic of the entire plant. We can also, of course, create a surface model. This is quite, let's say, generic to the drone industry. I think there's a lot of tools offering this, but after that, it also moves further because we can visualize the entire thing in a point cloud, and we've got a very fast and snappy point cloud viewer. So you can really, in any type of browser, visualize your entire project. You can go and make 3D annotations. And basically the main benefit is that we capture the entire terrain and we create the different contour lines. So we can do that before vegetation, after vegetation, because we also support LiDAR data. So we can see through the vegetation and create like DTMs, DSMs. And then if you export all of this topography data and the key line work, you can very easily design a site based on this information. So it's basic. Oh, I'm opening a bit too much. It's very basic tools that help you get the job done. On top of that, I wanted to show also that we've got a quite powerful volume measurement tool. So you can basically select any type of area and the system will automatically detect the cut and fill volumes, give them to you. In this case, it's in cubical meters. I should have put the demo on the Imperial system, but we do support, of course, the US way of measuring. No problem with that. So after that, of course, you want to move ahead and build your site. And that's where we can show also progress. So we can show, of course, that the 6th of October, the entire plant was cleaned up. And then we can go and move ahead and see how the project moves on over time. So you can see, for example, here that we've got installation of piles. There's much more than that. So maybe we can open one of these projects. So here we can see, for example, the system has automatically detected the trenches. So we have a lot of AI in the back, which helps us detect different elements like trenches. And then the customer can overlay again the 𝐷𝐿, for example, and then they can see how well are the trenches in line with the design. Are we constructing everything correctly? For example, here we've got a trench that should be placed here, which ended up being placed underneath the tables. If we add piles, so if we add these green piles, we can see that they're dangerously close to these trenches. So whenever these trenches will be backfilled, and then the next contractor comes to put in piles, if he didn't dial up his GPS correctly, he might be ramming piles into your expensive cables, which puts the project back a couple of weeks, ends up being extra costs. So these are things you want to detect upfront, because now you can very simply click on that trench, export it as a 𝐷𝐿 or a KML or whatever format you're using, put it into your CAD software, and design the plant according to the changes made by the field staff. And so you can constantly iterate on your design based on changes that were made very easily. And of course, the project goes on. So you can see in a further stage, for example, here we are installing piles, and then we are going to, I never know exactly which one. It's the same one. But if we go to the 9th of November, for example, here we can see that we are installing the different piles. So the system has automatically detected all of these red dots, but I can again overlay the exact pile locations. And I can see that, for example, here there is a pile missing. For some reason, they didn't ram it in. But I can also see, which is more worrying, piles that are not in the correct location. So it should have been here, but it has been rammed in the wrong location. I can go and measure. Why is there a deviation? Okay, that's about 1 meter. How come? Why? I can jump into a Zoom call with my contractor and say, hey, what's happening here? Why did you decide to move this row and not the others? And actually this row too. Is there a reason for that? Was it related to maybe the trenches being too close to the poles, or what happened? You can have very strong conversations. And of course, then you can move on to an even more advanced stage. Go ahead, sorry.
No, I don't apologize, but for this whole process, you just talking to the contractors. How shareable is what you're looking at right now with other people, other stakeholders within the loop? Can you basically send a link that would share this and you could go over it, or would it only be that you're sharing a screen or something like that?
So there's tons of different ways. Of course, we're digital, so it's quite easy to very easily create a share link. I can just create a share link here. Copy that link, rename it, and then I'll put it. I can send it to someone in an email, and they'll get access to the project. Yeah. But I can also add them as users, or you can even decide to make reports. So you can say, I want to include all the details. I want to include the structures, this type of information. So we can make customized reports. I'm not a big fan of reports because they end up being PDF, and PDF is not very nice to share things with, but I'm a big fan of the ability to just share access through a link and to browse together.
And that share link capability extends not just in construction, but that's on the thermal ortho and all of that stuff.
That's correct. Yeah, and we've also got a very advanced permission management system, so you can add all your subcontractors as companies, and then you can decide which companies have access to which sites. So we're working with large asset owners, which have, for example, 10 different subcontractors in terms of construction, depending on regions, countries. And so they need to be able to give access, but based on different sites. And so we've got a whole permission management system around that, allowing them to very well manage basically who's got access to which sites, which information.
Perfect.
So Here we're looking at the construction more advanced. So you can see we've got tiles, we've got some of the tables installed, we even got some of the panels. And when you click on any type of element, it can even tell you in which drone scans it has been detected. So we even link the elements throughout time. And then we can give quite advanced also statistics, which are going to tell you how productive your team has been, completion of different elements on the site. You can download them. So there's a lot of metrics that you can get out in terms of how productive you are, on top of basically being able to manage the quality, which is the main focus on this product. And I think this product really nicely also works together with our field app, which is unfortunately it's hard to show today because I can't share the smartphone view. But I can encourage anyone who would want more info on the field app or the field link to just go on the website to contact me. I can definitely give demos, or we can even give you trial access, try out the app. So a lot is possible there. But I think that finalizes the demo today, because there's a lot I can talk about. For example, we can manage equipment. You can add your own drones. There's even things where we can, you can manage. If you go to a flown operation, ordering, you can upload data, you can plan flights, you can check weather to make sure that the weather is correct on the day you're flying. So of course, we're taking also into account all of the operational aspect around drone flying.